Welcome and good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Ian Grant. I am the Executive Director of UNH's Entrepreneurship Center, known as the ECenter. We are the heart of ideas and innovation and entrepreneurship here on campus in Durham. We're open to all students, all majors, any college, with the sole purpose to help students develop ideas and develop an entrepreneurial mindset. Tonight, we're going to have a really enjoyable night meeting students and hearing their stories and hearing about the impact that they have had. I'd like to thank my subcommittee members, Tom Hayes, Fred Forsley, John Morrison, Bob Phillips, Sarah Samuels, and Buddy Webb, all amazing entrepreneurs and leaders in their own right. So the idea of this showcase actually came from several conversations with CEOs and venture capitalists and VP of human resources in different companies. And they always were interested about knowing what is going on at the ECenter. Who are the students? What are their impacts? How can we help them? Can we hire them? They're innovative, they're problem solvers. And so what we realized was we needed to create an opportunity for those individuals and more to start to understand the impact that students can have by exploring, by being curious, and being part of the ECenter ecosystem. So tonight, you're going to hear from 5 amazing students. But first, a short video of the ECenter to get a sense of that, and we'll go from there. The Entrepreneurship Center, or as we call it, the ECenter, is the heart of ideas, innovation, and entrepreneurship on campus.
It's really a place for people to come together with all different backgrounds and perspectives and to unify to be able to create something really cool.
Just being here and listening to people talk, you can kind of get inspired and say, well, you know, that's something I would be interested in.
There's no shortage of people there who are really smart and really enthusiastic about helping students get their ideas off the ground.
I love the environment. Every time I come in here, everyone around me is working on their company. I want to work on my company. Let's go for it.
It usually starts with a student coming in or a couple of students coming in with an idea. We have students really focus on customer discovery and making sure that their idea for their product or service really meets the need of a customer. What's really exciting is to see students who come in with sort of this nascent idea and then through these sort of weekly meetings start to really launch this into something real.
When I started this business, I had 0 business experience whatsoever. And really it was Ian Grant and the ECenter who gave us all the business expertise.
The ECenter has completely changed the way we would have developed UScheduler and the whole business.
We learned so much on how to build things. This is what engineering is building, but here is actually a place to apply what we built into the real world and actually bring it to market.
It's amazing to know that a lot of students are here and have a business and work together at the ECenter, and they've started developing all these different companies from here. So this is the key location from which everything starts.
Over 10,000 UNH alums have founded, co-founded, or run their own company. So I always say that the entrepreneurial spirit is in the DNA of UNH long before the ECenter got here.
Seeing different company names on the wall out there with our name on there is just a really great feeling.
You don't need to want to start a company to be here. It's just an environment where it's super energetic. It's a collaborative space where everyone can just meet and, you know, occasionally there's food here, so that's another plus.
There's a difference between being somewhere where a class is held and being somewhere where you're meant to think outside of the box.
They are truly an invaluable resource for every student, whether you're, thinking of starting a business or you've already started a business. I can't recommend them enough.
So first up, we have Stephen Schnoeberk, class of 21 from Paul College.
My name is Stephen Schnoeberk, and I am a senior at UNH studying finance and economics. I'm the co-founder and president of Bogey Bag LLC. Now, one thing that anyone who's ever played golf seems to agree on is that golf is really, really hard. But there's no healthy way to dispose of your anger in a respectable way while playing. And after years of breaking and throwing our own clubs and other costly equipment, we knew that something had to change. The Bogey Bag is what we like to call golf's best stress reliever. It's a punching bag that attaches to most golf carts, allowing players to take their anger out in a fun and healthy way without paying the price of equipment replacement or injuries. Now, I want to take this time to look back on my personal journey. I first went to the ECenter in January 2019 with a prototype put together in my friend's basement. And when I first met Ian, he told me, I don't tell students whether their idea is good or not, but instead I helped them figure that out themselves through customer discovery. And ever since then, customer discovery has been an integral part of the Bogey Bag's development. Ian welcomed me into his team of entrepreneurs, and he immediately began working with me on a weekly basis. Not only laid out an overall game plan, but he convinced me to enter the holiday competition. And from that moment on, Ian helped me prepare, build my pitch deck, refine my pitch deck. And most importantly, he sat in the training room with me for upwards to 30 hours, listening and watching me practice my presentation for the semifinal and final round of the holiday. After those countless hours spent practicing and working with Ian, the final round of the holiday competition was finally there. And all the hard work seemed to pay off after coming in third place and winning the People's Choice Award. Shortly after having the moderate success in the holiday, the Summer Sea Grant seemed like an amazing opportunity to keep the momentum moving. After going through the judging process for the Summer Sea Grant, I was one of the 3 students who were chosen. This left me with a tough decision to make. At the time, I was recently offered an internship at John Hancock that was going to pay roughly double what the Summer Sea Grant was offering. After weighing the pros and cons, I realized that the Summer Sea Grant was truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for myself with little risk associated. And once I made up my mind to respectfully turn down John Hancock and take the Summer Sea Grant, I never looked back. During my 9 weeks in the program, I was introduced to a number of companies and individuals who had a profound impact on not only the Bogey Bag's progression, but also my personal progression as a student and as a person in general. The ECenter's relationship with Fishnet Media and Pierce Atwood is one of a kind. Thanks to Fishnet, we were able to have professional help in developing our logos, packaging, and website. And with the help of Pierce Atwood and Jamie Baker from Pierce Atwood specifically, we worked directly with them to become an LLC for only the cost of filing fees. But one of the biggest takeaways from the Summer Sea Grant was that for the first time in my life, I was able to completely dedicate myself to what I truly wanted to do. And during that time, I found that working for myself is something that I want to be able to continue to do after I graduate from UNH. That experience that I had is invaluable. Summer Sea Grant was truly the most impactful experience that I've had at UNH. Not only because of the connections that I made, but I was able to really get to work and experience new things that I'd never been exposed to before. I started working with manufacturers in China, learning about product build methods. I learned CAD modeling. I was taught how to use a 3D printer, which also became an integral part of our development. And all of these things are things that I would never have experienced if it wasn't for the ECenter and the Summer Sea Grant. When I first came to UNH, I was just a finance student. Thanks to these opportunities, my entire trajectory as a student and as a professional post-graduation have completely changed due to the new skill set that I possess. So to Ian Grant, Heather McNeil, Mike McClurkin, Jackie Eastwood, and so many more, I want to close by saying thank you for your time, your energy, and your faith in me and in something that was once just a wild idea. The Bogey Bag would not be where it is today, and I certainly wouldn't be the person I am today without each and every one of you. And everybody listening today, thank you for coming and taking time out of your busy schedules to hear a little bit about what myself and the rest of the entrepreneurs have to say. So thank you again. I hope you all can stay tuned for the official launch of the Bogey Bag.
Stephen, I smile every time I think about Bogey Bag. Thank you for sharing your story. Next, we have Nathaniel Hunt, class of 22 from the College of Liberal Arts.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Hunt. I am a junior philosophy major here at UNH, and I am from Rochester, New Hampshire. So I'm here to talk about my time participating as a co-founder in Spider. So Spider is the company that I'm a co-founder of, and the idea started about 3 years ago when I was at National Championship Weekend for college lacrosse at Gillette Stadium, and I had this idea about, it would be really cool if I could put some sort of technology inside the lacrosse stick where it could track the reps I was doing. Maybe it could track the speed of my shot. Maybe it, the angle of release, because coaches are always telling you have to shoot overhand. You have to shoot overhand when you're a young player. But I had none of the technical skills to make something like that happen. As I said, I'm a philosophy major, and I love to think. I love to be innovative. I love to talk to people. But when it comes to technical skills, it's just not something that I possess. So about 3 years later, I brought the idea up to somebody in my dorm, and they were like, like you should go to the ECenter. They might be able to help you out. So I emailed the ECenter, and I made an appointment to go and talk about my idea. And a few days later, I was in the ECenter, and I was talking to Ian Grant about this idea that I had. And I told him, I'm like, I think this would be amazing for the world of lacrosse and the sports community as a whole, but I just don't know how to make this happen. And Ian, he really liked the idea. He loved my enthusiasm. And he said, like, you know, the ECenter would like to be a resource for you. The ECenter would like to help you learn the business aspects, because it's something I didn't have any background in at all. And so he brought me over to this board, and it's a board for people who are looking for projects to work on, or people who need help with some of their project skills they don't have. And I saw a name on there, and it said Brady, and I saw that he was pretty good at 3D print. He said he's good at 3D printing and circuit board, and I'm like, oh, you know, like this could be really beneficial to what I'm trying to do, and this is something that I'd like to do. So I took a picture of it, and the next day I emailed Brady, and I was like, hey, I saw your name up on the board, and I was wondering if you'd want to meet, and I'd tell you about my idea, and maybe you could help me out. And so a few days later, Brady and I met for the first time, and I told Brady about the idea, and he was super enthusiastic about it right off the bat. He's like, I think this is something that could be really cool. He's not a lacrosse player, but he saw the implications of it. And he was like, I'm in. So we still had a need where Brady was, you know, great at the 3D printing, great at the circuit board, but we needed someone who had the ability to write the code, and somebody who had the ability to create the app that we want to make to go hand in hand with this. And so I'm looking around myself, and Brady texts me, and he's like, I have these two guys who I really think could be good. Nick and Joey came, and they had like very early prototyping and ideas, and I was like this is perfect. Like they just took they had never met me before, and they took an idea that was in my head and that they just heard from Brady, and are already starting to turn into a reality. And I'm like, these are the guys that I want to work with. These are the guys that I'd love to work on starting a business with. And we were off from then on, and we decided to apply for the summer seed grant, you know, enter that competition. And we were lucky enough that we worked extremely hard, and we won that grant. And so we got to work on our project all summer. And while Brady, Joey, and Nick were all working on the physical side of the product itself, I was able to dive into the world of business. And I found a love for business that I never even thought that I would have. When I worked with Ian and Mike McClurkin as my mentors, and they taught me about this idea of customer discovery and getting out there and telling customers about our product and working with them, having that real honest dialogue about how we can make our product better and fit the needs of for us, lacrosse community, and innovate and, you know, continually get better to fill those needs. I fell in love with that aspect of it, and I dove headfirst into it, and I loved every second of it. I met with over 70 different people, ranging from a woman who has won multiple gold medals with the USA World Lacrosse team to, you know, middle schoolers, and like in everything in between, D1 college coaches, D1 college lacrosse players, and every single one I would get their honest opinion before I even told them about the product, so that it was unbiased answers. And doing things like that aspect of customer discovery really, really opened my eyes to what this could be and what business is, and how much I really love that. And that was just amazing for me. It was a phenomenal experience, and I'm really excited to continue working on Spider. And, you know, if Spider doesn't work out, or it's something I do in, you know, as a thing on the side, just because I love doing it and I want to give back to the lacrosse community, I'm also looking to go into business now after school. Again, nothing I ever considered before this. But I think it's something that I would love to do. Again, I'd love to be innovative. I love going out there and talking to customers and finding the needs in the world. And I think my philosophy major especially has added so much to that, where I'm learning to think, I'm learning to write and read critically. I'm learning to go out there and talk to people in a way that not everybody can. And I'm able to, mold what I'm doing to real world scenarios. And I think that's just the most amazing thing, and an amazing way that I've been able to utilize the skills that I have and use them to my advantage in the world of business. And I want to just thank you all for listening. I am excited to talk to anybody who wants to come talk to me and learn more about my journey and what we've done so far. We do have some early prototyping, which is really exciting. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nathaniel. It's just such an amazing idea, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Next, we have Joey Neliber. He's from the College of Engineering and Physical Sciences, class of 22.
After Brady contacted me to pitch the idea of Spider, I was instantly hooked. I remember sitting down with Nick that night until 2 a.m. and writing down everything that we could possibly brainstorm, even working out some of the initial kinks that we thought the design might have, such as sensors being placed in the bottom of the stick instead of the top. Just made more logical sense at the time, and for charging and stress reasons, that's why we stuck with it. The thought of creating something tangible that you can hold in your hands was just so captivating to me. I've been coding since I was 13, and I've never had it become anything more than just pixels on a screen. But Spider offered something different to me. It offered me the opportunity to give back to the communities that shaped me into who I am today. I owe a lot of success in my life to the coaches and sports I played growing up. They taught me many essential skills that are now fundamental to me. The biggest attributes these communities instilled upon me were not only work ethic, discipline, and respect, but also how to be a good teammate, a leader, and how to be an active listener. This ability of how to be an active listener was an essential part to the foundational stages of Spider. Over the course of the Summer Seed Grant, we completed over 60 customer discovery meetings, and keeping these conversations engaging while also pitching our idea was essential. We analyzed the feedback from these meetings thoroughly and adjusted the scope of Spider as needed. With our team's ability to shift our goals to meet the needs of our potential customers, we were creating a product that people would engage with. This point became abundantly clear when in meeting after meeting we were getting the same feedback. Change this, change this, change this. We changed it, and the feedback stopped. People liked what we changed to. Today, this seems like such a fundamental point for us when creating a business. But when all of us started, we had no idea how essential customer feedback is, especially in the development phases of a product. Although I learned and applied many computer science skills during the Summer Seed Grant, I may have learned these in classes in the future. But getting to communicate with potential customers in a constructive manner is something I never would have had the chance to do without the Summer Seed Grant. Summer Seed Grant has opened my eyes to so many parts of business I did not know existed. It has made me much more adaptive to changing situations and how to manage during uncertain times. Summer Seed Grant has taught me many do's and don'ts of working on a project as a team. These professional teamwork skills will give me an advantage in future professions, and I have nothing but the Summer Seed Grant to thank for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. What I love about you and Nathaniel is the fact of how from both different colleges you came together to work an idea, that interdisciplinary piece. That tells our story too of being Switzerland and having a safe place for students to come together to work on projects. So thank you for sharing that. So next we have Aidan Kittridge, the class of 21 from Paul College.
Hello everyone, my name is Aidan Kittridge. I'm from Hampton, New Hampshire, and I'm currently a senior here at UNH, majoring in economics with a minor in business administration. I'm a part of the ECenter through the paid student internship at a startup program, which I was a part of this past summer, and I'm excited to be telling you about the program in general as well as my personal experience. The paid student internship at a startup program through the ECenter is one of the highest paid UNH funded internships that's available to students. It bridges the gap between students who are interested in entrepreneurship or at interning at a startup for any number of reasons and local high growth startups. So it provides the necessary funding that they need to be able to take on an internship. So it really does provide an invaluable experience to students like me who are interested in entrepreneurship but wouldn't be able to have the opportunity to intern at one without this program. The program is 10 weeks long. The application process begins in February, where you apply through the ECenter, and then once you're selected as a participant, you get to choose whichever companies you are interested in and interview with them. So I actually picked 5 different companies, I believe it was, to interview with, and this really gave me a great opportunity to practice my interview and speaking skills, and also connect with high-growth startup founders from the area. And then after that, both the founder and the students decide who would be the best fit for the role. And once there is a mutual conclusion, that student gets the internship for the summer. So personally, I was paired with Aisling Organic Cosmetics, which is a high-growth, clean, organic makeup company based out of Salem, New Hampshire. And I had such an amazing experience. I got to work super closely with Krista Lewis, who is the founder and CEO of Aisling. She actually started Aisling Organics when she was 21, which is how old I am. So it was a really cool opportunity to get to hear from a strong young female about her personal experience in breaking into the world of entrepreneurship. She was an amazing role model as well as a boss, and I will forever remember this experience. I worked mainly in advertising and marketing for the company, but also did a bunch of different operational stuff. As you may know, in a startup, it's a really high-paced environment, and you kind of fill in wherever someone needs help. So I got to learn about a bunch of different facets of the entrepreneurial world, and it actually changed my outlook on my future career. So now I've pivoted my future into wanting to do something more in the marketing and advertising realm, hopefully for a startup company or for a company that I may start my own. So yeah, these experiences are really invaluable for students like myself, and I want to thank the Patton Family Foundation as well as the ECenter for making this opportunity possible. And if you have any questions, feel free to talk to me or email me. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you so much, Aidan. It's an amazing story, and that story just reminds me of exactly why we created the paid internship at startups program. Because not all students have that aha idea, but they have a passion to be in the trenches and to help grow ideas and take startups to the next level, and that's just such an amazing experience. So thank you for sharing that. And last, Jessica Nelson, class of 21 from Paul College, who I think probably some of her very first moments were in the ECenter and has almost lived there ever since. So Jessica, thank you.
Hello, I'm Jessica Nelson. I'm currently a senior at the University of New Hampshire, studying entrepreneurship with a dual minor in sales and sustainable agriculture. My involvement with the UNH Entrepreneurship Center began freshman year when I became involved with the UNH Entrepreneurship Club. This club allowed me to really understand what entrepreneurship is, while practicing it around the comfort of my peers. When I realized that I was developing a passion for entrepreneurship, I enrolled in the I2 Passport program. This program is a semester-long competition that allows students to hear from various guest speakers with entrepreneurship experience, as well as compete in on-campus idea stage competitions. This is when I began being mentored by Ian Grant, who is the executive director of the Entrepreneurship Center. Ian Grant pushed me to get comfortable stepping in front of judges and an audience and presenting my ideas, while being willing to take critiques and adjust my idea to best fit customers' needs and wants. Ian also helped me develop a model around my ideas that would involve a thorough customer discovery process, as well as a business plan and creating a prototype so you can get your product into the hands of your customers' needs and wants. As I graduate in the spring of 2021, I hope to start my own business in the food industry, developing a plant-based sustainable protein for vegans and vegetarians. The Entrepreneurship Center at the University of New Hampshire has provided me with the resources, the experience, and the motivation to start a career in entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica, and thanks to all the students who shared their ideas and experiences with us this evening. My name is Buddy Webb, and I've been a member of the ECenter Advisory Group for about 2.5 years now. My partners and I decided to support the ECenter because ultimately we think a big part of entrepreneurship is problem solving, and problem solving is one of our core values at Lake Street. I think that we can all agree that there's no shortage of problems that need to be solved right now. So I hope that you will all consider joining us in supporting the ECenter. Financial support is always needed and sincerely appreciated. We have a great corporate sponsorship program that we would love to talk to you about, if that makes sense. Another great way to support our students is with time. Mentorship amplifies the results that students are able to achieve and greatly enhances their experiences. Who knows, you might even discover a great investment idea. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and I hope you'll move into one of the breakout rooms for some live conversation with our students and other members of the advisory group.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen, Joey, Nathaniel, Aidan, Jessica. You are all rock stars. Really proud of what you've accomplished and what you've been able to take out of the ECenter to benefit you personally. I can't wait to see where you go. We're actually going to probably just do Q&A instead of the breakout rooms, just due to the time. So if you see at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A box. So feel free to drop questions in there. So we've gotten several actually during the student presentation. So I'm going to just sort of start with those and go from there. So Aidan, this one's for you. Please describe one of your biggest takeaway learnings that you had in your internship from working with a founder in startup life, and would you want to do one yourself?
Yeah, so the biggest takeaway that I got from my internship at Aisling was just not to be afraid to pursue your dreams, because as I mentioned, the boss or the CEO of Aisling that I worked with was 21 when she started her venture. So obviously she had very little experience in the professional world, but yet she still took on the challenge of starting her company, and it's been a great success. So that was the biggest lesson I learned, was just not to fear putting yourself out there and starting a venture. And also, yes, I do want to start my own company one day, but I just don't have an idea yet. So once I do have an idea, I'll be jumping on that as soon as I can.
Great question. Thank you very much. And thank you, Aidan. Nathaniel, here's a question for you. Love the fact that you're a philosophy student, but you also found an engineer to help you take your idea into something real. Congratulations. You talked about this thing called customer discovery. Can you tell us about one or a couple of those customer feedbacks that made you improve your product?
Yeah, I definitely can. Thanks for the question. I think one of the biggest things that came from like our customer discovery was we were thinking of a way to count the reps for players. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a starting attackman for a Division I college lacrosse team, and he said, you know, it would be amazing if you could not only track my reps, but if I could set my reps for my workout beforehand and put in some headphones, and it tells me when I should switch. So you start with your right hand, and our device counts 50 for you, and it tells you time to switch to your left hand. And then you switch to your left hand, and the opportunities from there are just endless, working with professional players and their wall ball routines and coaches and their wall ball routines. And that was something that my co-founders and I hadn't even thought of. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing idea to just take our product in a completely new direction. And it added so much. And I just thought that was one of the most amazing experiences of that.
Great. Thanks very much, Nathaniel. Jessica, this is for you. Looks like you've had the full UNH and ECenter experience and tried everything, and I can attest to that. Congrats on your passion and hard work. My daughter wants to go to UNH next year. What would you tell her to do? And is it harder for a woman to engage in these extracurricular programs?
That's a great question. I tell her to get involved at the ECenter right away. I got involved my freshman year, right when I got on campus. The ECenter was one of the first places I checked out, and it definitely helped me feel like I had a home at UNH, and I had a place where I could be around these kids, students that had the same passions as me. Going to the ECenter each day was nice because the people I was around were not just doing their schoolwork, they were doing beyond, and they were following what they love to do and finding new ideas and solving new problems. And I think the ECenter is just a great way to meet people that are not just going to be your short-term friends, but could be long-term business partners as well.
Great. And the second question was, as a woman, how did you find the extracurricular or opportunities for women? Is that an issue for you on campus?
Definitely not an issue at all. The I2 Passport program was a great example of a way that anyone could get involved. I2 Passport just made me feel comfortable starting to learn about entrepreneurship and then slowly practicing it and getting more comfortable with it. So I was able to start with small competitions and then work my way up as I got a better understanding of creating a business plan and doing customer discovery. And this just helped me get more comfortable along the way. So definitely there's no barriers to entering any of the programs that the ECenter has to offer and getting full benefits from it.
Great. Thanks so much, Jessica. And I'll point out, Jessica is a 2-time winner of I2 Passport. She's very modest, but she planned it and executed it very well, which isn't a surprise. Stephen, a bunch of questions for you. First one is, I love your idea. When we'll be able to buy one, and how do I get on the reservation list? Stephen, if you're there.
Forgot to turn my mic on. But so that's a great question. We have a pretty optimistic goal right now to get it out before the Christmas season. Me and one of the other partners, Peyton Oaks, are really hard at work on working on the development of the final piece, which is the clamp, kind of working on the cost cutting of that. But so ideally before Christmas, and if you want to go pre-order or register for subscribe to get on the list for it, you can go to our website at thebogiebag.com and you can find it there.
Great. And a follow-up to that is, what's your distribution strategy plans?
Yeah, so I guess before I talk about distribution, I should probably talk about our go-to-market strategy, which is a 4-tier approach. So first one, what we're in right now is our alpha, and that's really where we're doing our infield development and working directly with golf courses to make sure that the product that we're going to bring out is going to be adopted by the market. So we're working with local golf courses like Breakfast Hill and with some of their members to get a wide range of different people, old people, women, men, junior golfers, to make sure that it's a really universal product. Once we go from there, we're going into beta testing and into our beta rollout, where we have agreements with these golf courses to pretty much put the bogey bag into their pro shops on a commission base. So let's say we sell one of them, they get X number of dollars. There's no risk for them, no risk for us. It just gets us right into our main direct audience's eyes. And then 3 is our cluster expansion, really the overall market introduction, where we're going to enter more golf courses and then also launch our direct consumer. And there we get into our evaluation, really our market analysis, and that's where we'll figure out what's the bread and butter for us and where we've been able to succeed the most. And that's where we're going to have to pivot and accelerate from there.
Great. And since you're talking, we'll keep going. There's one more question for you. Actually 2 questions. What's the biggest challenge in your product development so far with Bogey Bag, and how have you worked to overcome and succeed with that?
So the biggest challenge has definitely been on the clamp. We've gone through about 100 different iterations now of clamps. It's been a wild process, but I learned how to 3D print when I was in the Summer Sea Grant program. And that has been a major impact because I've been able to start 3D printing these myself. And I met a student named Peyton Oaks who has a ton of experience in injection mold design. So he's actually, if you guys can see this, he started to design this. This is made out of a polycarbonate blend with a PA12 additive manufactured retainer on it. So it screws on like this, goes on like that. But going back to the question, the biggest challenge has been the clamp. It's been continuous product development, testing it, breaking it, testing it, breaking it, and trying to pivot each and every time. So at this point, we have a design that I just showed you that we're pretty much settled on, and now we're introducing different ways to actually build it. We're building an in-house injection molding system that is going to be extremely efficient and a lot lower cost than going through a big box or a big manufacturer.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Joey and Nathaniel, question for you is, could you please describe a little bit more about the sensor you plan to build into the stick? Why don't you go talk about that a little bit, to the extent you can.
Unfortunately, we were not able to at the moment due to current IP standing. Sorry.
So Joey, you're on. Why don't you, so this question is also for you. So how do you keep up what no doubt is a strenuous SEPS academics and find time for Spider. So talk about that balance.
It is a very, very tight schedule. I book my calendar every single week. Every single hour is full. Obviously school comes first. I'm also an RA on campus. Those two come first, but any of my free time is spent towards Spider, and it's a very enjoyable thing, and I have a blast working on it with these people.
Great. And actually, I'm going to open that question up because all of you, you have multi-dimensional lives, and it's not just ECenter. Aidan, I know you do quite a lot with Ryan's as well. So just talk, whoever wants to, just talk about that balance of how do you focus on some of your academics and your other extracurricular and other things you're working on. So talk about that balance a little bit.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So definitely having a planner is very important. I schedule, like he was saying, I schedule my days down to about the hour and sometimes the minute. But I honestly think that I work better under that pressure, and it motivates me to do better across all parts of my life, even like scheduling in social time. And then I'll be able to balance my social life, my academic life, extracurriculars, and everything in between. So just finding that balance and not overdoing it in any one part of your life is key.
Anybody else want to answer that?
I can jump into it and just kind of reiterate what Aidan and Joey both said. They both nailed it on the head, but the biggest thing is scheduling everything out and making sure that you get everything that you need to have done. I know that all of us are extremely busy, especially for a lot of us in our senior year, trying to figure out what we're going to do after college. But balancing schoolwork and extracurriculars along with our involvement in the ECenter is definitely a challenging thing, but it's gotten easier to handle over the years.
Great. So another general question is, what advice would you have to anyone who has an idea to build something?
I'll take this to start it off. Don't burn yourself out. Take it. Make sure you make time for yourself and don't just go. I did 16-hour weeks for a majority of the summer seed grant, and I definitely burnt out at the end. And
16-hour days, you mean?
Yeah, 16-hour days. Sorry. Yeah. That's my go-to advice.
I can speak on that question a little as well. I think my biggest recommendation for someone who has an idea that is interested in starting a company would be just to use the network that you have around UNH. It's incredible. So people at Paul College, the business school where I study, as well as other colleges around UNH, the ECenter, people there want to help you. They want to see you succeed, and they want their input in your idea. And they're really willing to take the time out of the day to mentor you, to talk to you, to prepare you for that pitch. And it's been such a wonderful network for me, and I can't thank the ECenter enough.
Great.
Oh, sorry, and you can keep going.
Well, I just echo that. The resources and the commitment and dedication from UNH alums and even non-alums to help out is invaluable.
Oh, and for me, I think my biggest piece of advice is to really just start with whatever you want to do. When I first started Bogey Bag, I had no clue what I was doing, just trying to piece it together. And along the way, you meet people that are interested in it, that want to help you, and then you just kind of find your way through that. But I think that's the best way to get forward and really start it, is just to go all in and just try it.
Great. So a general question that I may actually take a whack at, which is, have students connected or collaborated with other entrepreneurship centers in New England or otherwise, for example, Colgate, Dartmouth, Clarkson, BC, and other ways to network and share the ideas, and is there a value to doing that? So one of the things that we do, and we've done it now for 2 years in a row, is to, so Boston University has this idea conference open up to primarily Boston area universities, like 400 or 500 people. But we charter a bus, and we have about 50 or 60 students who get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and go down in February. And to hear the stories about who they've met throughout other universities. So it's BU, it's Harvard, it's Northeastern, MIT, it's sort of the range of Boston colleges, and the connections and the working collaborative that happens out of that. I think there's always an opportunity to do more. And you know, all those schools, particularly, so I know the folks in many of them in the Boston area and Dartmouth have phenomenal programs, and I think there's a great opportunity. Another general question, how is COVID impacting your current activities?
I think I can speak to this one a little bit, and I'll backtrack a little bit, little past current, because it is related. So during Summer Sea Grant, the primary thing that I was focusing on was customer discovery, and that's continued all the way through to I had a meeting yesterday. And with COVID, I had to do 70 plus hour to 2 hour meetings with coaches, players, parents, etc., over Zoom, which was a really interesting experience. And one big challenge of that is it's very easy to miss a Zoom call. It's very easy for something to come up. So it's very challenging to have plans and plan out your schedule, and then have somebody literally like a minute before the meeting's about to start say, sorry, I can't make it, kind of thing. And so I think that's the biggest challenge of doing things during COVID. But at the same time, it gives you a great opportunity where you can reach out to people through this amazing online network that we have, and to be able to show pictures and show videos and everything that you're doing through that. So it also provides a lot of opportunity as well.
Other COVID impact?
I can speak on that. COVID's definitely impacted my schedule because the ECenter is closed to students right now, unfortunately, which is really sad. So the events like I2 Passport is definitely virtual, and you don't get that connection and that same creativity and the vibe that you get when you're around a lot of entrepreneurs within the ECenter. But the ECenter has been so great pivoting to this virtual platform and still providing amazing guest speakers and events that you can still engage in and compete in different competitions on campus virtually. So it's been good.
Great. And probably for all of you, because you've all had sort of different slices at things at the ECenter. So what challenges do you face in your efforts that you wish you had more resources to address? And what would be those resources that would help you? So I'm going to prime that more. So is it mentors? Is it funding? Is it, think about each of what your impacts or where you've engaged, and what do you wish you had more of, or avoid that you wish was available for you?
I guess one thing, when I was first in the Holiday competition in 2019, I know that Ian's always being asked to have, for a lot of students asked Ian to coach, for him to coach them, because he has such a great track record, great guy, fun to work with. But I can notice that really filling up, and obviously that takes a lot of his time. And I think it'd be nice to maybe have some more mentors. I know that that's exactly what you're doing with Mike McClurk, and now he's coming in and helping students. So I think stuff like that is great, especially people that might share the same values and the kind of the structure that you've provided to us. If you are able to provide that to them, and also they can collaborate that with their own experiences, it would be a great matchup.
So nobody says they want money?
I'll take money, but going off of some of our topics that we had to do differently this year because of COVID, especially, was not being able to utilize the tools that the ECenter has, like CNC machines or 3D printers. We kind of had a little bit of trouble, and we still are having trouble with the design process, and to see more resources dedicated to that for students. Like, we have a basic design, but moving forward with that would be something to do, or something to improve upon in the future.
Great. So if there are any more questions, feel free to send them in. And sort of the last, again, sort of general question is, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently coming to UNH?
I think answering this one. So I was a transfer student at UNH. So I started at UNH fall of last year. And I think that is one big thing is, first off, I would have started at UNH because I love UNH. It's an amazing school. And the opportunities here have been amazing. As you can see, as I stated before, I had this idea 3 years ago, and I waited until I think January or February of last year to go reach out to the ECenter with this opportunity, with this idea, and what we've been able to do within those 4 months. If I had just taken the opportunity at the beginning of my time at UNH, I can't imagine where we'd be right now. And so I think honestly, my biggest thing that I would have done differently is to just start sooner and take this idea it's just been stewing in my brain for years and just go for it.
I can speak to that as well. I would have gone to the ECenter sooner in my career as a student at UNH because I'm a senior and I just became a part of this community through the Intern at a Startup program. And unfortunately, right as I become a part of the ECenter family, the ECenter closes for in-person. But so yeah, I definitely would have gone sooner. I had this mentality that because I didn't have an idea, I didn't have a place at the ECenter, but obviously that's wrong because I could have found people that did have an idea and been able to collaborate with them and really foster their idea. So yeah, that would be my one change that I would make if I could.
I also want to give a shout out to Aidan. She's also very modest. It's a trend here. Did amazing work with the Holloway competition, organizing it with Andrew Earl, but that's a Herculean effort knowing what goes on. So just a shout out for your involvement with that, which really does help the overall too. So thank you, Aidan.
Thank you, Ian.
Anyone else? Things you change coming to UNH? Again, it doesn't have to be about the ECenter. Anything that, a lot of you are seniors and it's a moment to be reflective.
I guess for me personally, they said it too, but get involved early, not necessarily just in the ECenter, but get involved with whatever you can and figure out what you like to do because eventually you're going to find it. And for all of us, luckily we found the ECenter. Has been an amazing resource for all of us. I know that we're all extremely grateful for it. But I wish I would have come my freshman year because I didn't come to my sophomore year. But for everything, I think the best thing you can do is just get involved and get out there.
Great. So a couple of questions. So one question, which is actually a great question, and it's true. So the question was, is the ECenter open at all this semester? And actually it is. So I continue to do one-on-one coaching and even small groups coaching. So we just can't have our larger programs. There's a restriction on no groups larger than 25 students. So most of our larger programs, so boot camp, speaker series, that's all more than 25 students. So those are all virtual. I'm on campus, last week I was on 4 days on campus, but scheduled to meet students one-on-one and small groups to talk about it, sketch stuff out on the whiteboard. So that will always be it. And I actually think that's part of our personal commitment. Each of these students have sacrificed to come on campus, to get tested twice a week for UNH to have built an amazing testing center. To me, I think it's our personal obligation to where we can have that personal touch. I'll also sort of shout out that we have a program that's designed to engage first-year students in partnership with admissions. So we identify students who have already started a company or nonprofit or active in innovation in high school. We call it the Idea and Innovation Society. This year completely blew the roof off. We actually had a limit of 30, but we took 38 students. I want to say 8 different states, 2 different countries, more than half were women, which is great. And so I've been meeting with them one-on-one to understand their ideas and their expectations. And Simbra, as you've heard today, is they've now instantly, within the first several weeks of being on campus, found like-minded students that sort of have passions. And they don't all have ideas, but they have sort of drinking the Kool-Aid, as I say, to do this. So that's absolutely an opportunity, and we do support students. And hopefully next semester that will change, or maybe the groups can get slightly bigger so that we can do what we do in person. Another question is, it's about how to find mentors. So we do have the Wildcat Connection. So there is that in partnership, and we do a lot with CAPS. They're a terrific partner with us on a number of events, including a startup career fair, and like we're doing a LinkedIn workshop. But the ECenter actually also has its own mentor database. And so it's a little bit more detailed. There's a little bit more of a profile, sort of an inventory of skills. And as students reach out and we sort of think that they're ready for a mentor because we want to be respectful of time, we'll make that introduction based upon that sort of deeper industry knowledge. If anyone on the call is interested, I would say we just relaunched our website. It's unh.edu/ecenter, all lowercase, or unhecenter.com if that's easier. So Allison Bell completely spent her summer redoing that. Find the mentor link, it's right at the top, and invite anyone to be able to participate and help us out with that. So I know we're getting close to time, so if there's any sort of last questions, please feel free to drop those into the question and answer before we sort of go into a close. All right, so I'm always a believer that an hour-long meeting doesn't have to be an hour long. And so we can wrap this up. So I do want to thank everyone for taking time out in the night. We all have long days and we're all zoomed out for sure. So I appreciate you coming on tonight and hearing the stories and listening and contributing. Again, feel free to reach out to any of the students, reach out to me or the eCenter. We'd love your help, love any advice. I always say we don't have all the answers. And so always looking for thoughts for that. As Buddy mentioned, if any of you are CEOs or head of HR in companies and you want to sort of get engaged in our mentoring, in corporate sponsorships, there's wide opportunities for you and to be able to meet students, of which you've only seen 5 here, of which there's probably 10 times more than that of equal quality. So would love that. So with that, again, I want to thank everybody for participating, for joining us tonight, and look forward to seeing you soon. Good night.